All right. Looks like we have 0 viewers.
Oh, great.
But we'll hold on a couple minutes, see if anybody jumps on late.
Okay, sounds good.
Ooh, we have 1 viewer, probably Anthony.
Oh, what happened there?
Well, maybe we'll go ahead and get started, and we can certainly share the recorded Hangout with anyone who's unable to make it live.
Absolutely.
And they can check through it that way. So I'll just kick things off. Good morning. My name is Peter Logley. I'm a program manager on the Google for Education team, and am thrilled to be joined by our friends from LogicWing. And by friends, of course, I mean Blanca, who is one of our premier professional development partners around the country, but particularly here in New York State and in New Jersey and throughout the Northeast. Customers just rave and rave and rave about their work with Blanca and her team at LogicWing. So we're super excited to team up with them to bring a brand new professional development package to school districts throughout the region. So that said, I'm going to share my screen so we can go through a few slides. Why doesn't this want to? 1 second. Just need to get this up full screen. All right. Blanca, can you see my screen?
I can, yep.
Perfect. So for anybody who hasn't registered yet, there is a short link there that went out in the invite, but it's on the screen right now. Just a little background on kind of the genesis of the package that we've put together here. I don't think there's any reason to go through the importance of professional development and professional learning. I think everybody who's watching this and has seen technology initiatives rolled out understands, or any initiative for that matter, not just technology, understands how critical professional learning is. We get asked all the time on the education team at Google where to go for professional development and professional learning. And of course, we always point them towards our partners like LogicWing throughout the country who have been with us from the beginning in terms of training teachers on Google Apps, now G Suite, on how to use Chromebooks. But I think over the last 6 to 12 months, districts have really been asking for kind of a where do we start? And of course, those partners are terrific at building really custom engagements from the ground up, but we wanted to have something that was kind of a established framework and something that we had tested with districts and had gotten some feedback on, so that every time our partners were engaging, they didn't have to start from scratch. They had some kind of a framework to start the conversation with. Not to say that couldn't be tweaked or edited along the way, but we wanted to have some kind of a framework in place that we had some data behind to validate the effectiveness of. So today we're going to do just quick introductions. We're going to go through the PD package, and then I'm going to turn it over to Blanca to talk a little bit about LogicWing and their specific unique approach to the package. So as we talked about, Peter Logley, program manager on the education team. I'll let Blanca introduce herself when I turn it over to her, but she has built an amazing company with her team there at LogicWing, and like I said, are based on Long Island in New York. There is also a question and answer doc. If you want to jump in there with any questions along the way, we'll certainly be happy to answer those on the fly, and also follow up if you want to leave a name and contact info in there too. Certainly happy to follow up one-on-one after the Hangout this morning. So 71% of teachers, and like we talked about, everyone on this conversation certainly knows the importance of PD, but 71% of teachers attribute workplace stress to the adoption of new initiatives without proper professional development. And Blanca and I have both spent time in school districts working there, and certainly can relate to kind of every year a new initiative. And a lot of them, a lot of colleagues I worked with called them the same initiative but with a different name, year in, year out. We certainly know how challenging it is to be an educator today, and every year be asked to implement and adopt new things, new instructional strategies, and oftentimes without the training or coaching that's really required to make that successful. So like I said, that's kind of the genesis of our package here today. And what we really wanted to include in there are kind of these 4 pillars that we know make professional development successful, or at least are a part of making professional development successful. So I'm really rooted in standards to guide accountability, collaboration between staff, and kind of that ongoing support and mentoring. Measurement for success, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And then again, going back to the ongoing pillar, but access to professional development organizations after the training, really critical. So we've divided our package into 3 phases, and one of them is really the strategic planning phase, where partners going to spend some time with your district, really reviewing goals and implementation. All of that pre-work to make sure that the time spent is most effective. Phase 2 is the on-site training, where the partner will come to your district and deliver 2 days worth of fundamentals aimed at preparing your educators to go in and pass the Google Certified Educator exam. And then, of course, post consultation is phase 3, where we are delving into that data, seeing what kind of impact the training has, and hopefully uncovering opportunities for additional training, both for the group that went through the initial, and also how do we get better at scaling this training to the next building, to the next grade level, and really moving towards whether it's a full one-to-one or really just a high access device initiative. We know that doing a handful of classrooms is I don't want to say it's easy, but it's certainly easier than scaling throughout the district. I think that's where it really becomes challenging, and that's what we want to set up with this initial development or PD package. So I talked about the data and kind of the pilot program that we did in prep for this. So we actually modeled this exact same 3-phase model with I believe 8 or 9 districts throughout the state of California, which right in our backyard in Mountain View. And we did oh, that's nice. We did both a control group and kind of a group that received the full training. Let me 1 second to get that back up there. Now it wants to hide from me. But we did 2 different groups in those 8 or 9 pilot districts. One group that received the full professional development training and then went through and passed the certified educator exam. And then we did another group that just went through and passed the certified educator exam. So they both, were Google certified educators, and by all metrics, had the credentials to, enhance their adoption and their implementation of Google Apps. But what we saw was a marked difference between those who had gone through the training and those who had not. Give me 1 second.
I'm wowed by the way that you're just navigating the screen and you keep talking. Do you want me to share my screen, Peter?
No, I've got it right here. I'm going to pull this out, and then we're just going to go right back into the deck. But no, I think the reason I'm going through it is it's actually really exciting. And I was actually pretty surprised when I saw it. I think oftentimes in education, certainly my experience there, we kind of stretch data, and we can make data say whatever we want it to say. But what was really impressive is we saw, you can see in the blue, the control groups that actually went through the training, and you can see in the red, the groups that just passed the certifications. And we saw just a huge difference in their both 30-day and 7-day active usage of both Google Drive and Google Docs. We're talking, 50% compared to 250% increase in usage after that training. Again, as it says in the bottom, the sample size isn't enormous. It was a handful of districts. So certainly don't want to say that these are going to be the norm, but for these districts that we piloted the program with, it was remarkably effective. And you can again see when you couple the certifications with the training, it makes a big difference. So like I said, we went through, we piloted it, we saw it did make an impact, and we wanted to scale this to districts and to partners throughout the country. All that said, I'm going to stop talking now. The Q&A doc is still live. Please feel free to jump in there. And I'm going to turn it over to Blanca to talk a little bit about LogicWing and kind of their special special sauce that makes the package unique to their org, their team, and our part of the country.
Great, thanks, Peter. So LogicWing, for those of you who don't know us, is a technology consulting company. We provide professional development and migration services in the area of G Suite for education. And what we've been able to do over the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years is really help school districts deploy G Suite for education. We've helped them deploy Chromebooks, and more than just get those devices and those tools into the hands of teachers and students, we actually go into classrooms and we help teachers and students figure out how to use these tools for instruction. So whether it's to help a teacher deliver instruction in different ways, to be able to represent information in different ways, to look at formative assessment and being able to collect formative assessment more easily, and provide multiple ways for students to be able to show what they know. These are the types of things that we do in schools. Our specific G Suite for Education kind of courses include Google Educator Level 1 and 2, Google Certified Trainer preparation, which is usually reserved for like your integration specialists or your instructional coaches. We also do G Suite Certified Administrator prep. That would be for your technical group and anybody who on your team is going to be responsible for managing and administrating the Google tools on the back end. We also have project management services. So if you are a district who's looking to go Google and you're not really sure where to start, we can connect you to different schools that have already deployed. We can visit those schools with you to talk about what you're seeing. We can also come in and just help you create the materials that you need in order to make that deployment a success. We've worked all across the country. Several years ago, we worked in partnership with Google to deploy Google Play for Education, which was their kind of signature product that helped schools deploy apps and content on tablet devices. And so we were excited to be G Suite partners with Google, and we're excited to kind of be in this transition period where we see technology really playing a major role and really being able to impact instruction, whether it's because learning is blended or again, it's because teachers are able to do things that they weren't able to do before and students are able to demonstrate what they know. The 2-day package that we're talking about today is really a way to help districts kind of kickstart the usage of Google in their district. So you may say, well, why do I need this package? Because I already have teachers who are using Google. And I would say, okay, well, do you know how they're using it? Do you know if they're taking advantage of all the different tools that are available? One thing that the Level 1 certification does is it really kind of forces teachers to look at the wide variety of tools that are available for students to be able to use. What we see when we come into a district is there might be a fair amount of use in maybe Google Drive to save documents and to share documents. Maybe there's a fair use of Google Docs. There might even be a pretty good usage of Google Classroom because it's, it's a tool to be able to manage assignments, and a lot of schools have adopted that one quickly. But there are other tools things like Google Hangouts, how to use Google Hangouts to bring experts into your classroom or even to collaborate with teachers in another building. Tools like Google Groups, which I've used very successfully to set up support groups, to set up parent notifications. So what the 2-day package includes is really somewhat of an introduction to all of the different tools that are available in that G Suite. The 2-day face-to-face, there is an on-site workshop. I'll go through the timeline a little bit, but basically day one's agenda starts off with the Google Educator program overview. So we'll talk about the different certifications that are available for Google. And the reason why we do that is we want to make sure that teachers understand that they're kind of, that the Google Educator Level 1 is just kind of a first step for them. So if they want to expand their knowledge and increase their use, they can go to Google Educator Level 2 certification prep, and they can also school themselves on being a certified trainer and even a Google certified innovator. That day one agenda also includes kind of a focus on productivity and workflow tools. We do work with schools, some that have adopted Gmail for email communication and some that haven't. And so in order to pass the test, you really need to have a full understanding of how Gmail and tasks and some of the other tools that schools that aren't completely Google may not have access to. And then we do a review of online resources. We're only there for 2 days in the beginning, right? So we want to make sure that teachers know where they can go for additional support. That face-to-face workshop on day one ends with a reflection. We do collect how people are feeling, how confident they're feeling, and we do a Q&A session at the end. The day two agenda includes tools for collaboration and communication. So this is where teachers get a chance to look at docs, but also look at some of the more advanced features of docs. Again, you'd be surprised, but you can say that people are using Google Docs and using it well, and they're giving students feedback, and that's great. But there are so many other tools, even within Google Docs, that are called add-ons, where you can extend the learning right inside of that document that people are not aware of. The same for Google Sheets. So Google Sheets offers a wonderful way to visualize data, and a lot of teachers are uncomfortable. I know I was uncomfortable in the beginning when I first learned about spreadsheets, and they were uncomfortable kind of being able to sort information with ease, being able to filter information, to give them the data that they really need to inform instruction. So we spend a lot of time helping teachers really understand what those basic features are of the tools and provide them with resources so that they can come back and they can tackle one task at a time. We encourage the creation of collegial groups and collegial circles. There are, as part of this package, 4 monthly webinar calls. So those can be set up according to what the teachers need. They can be set up as mini lessons, or they can be set up as just as open Q&A sessions. But our goal for those 2 days is really to give teachers an overview of all the tools that are available in G Suite for Education, and to make sure that they understand it at a basic level. Now, the cost for the package is $6,500, and that's all inclusive. So you'll get a strategic planning session in the beginning. So we'll talk to your district about who those best teacher leaders should be that should be a part of this group, and we will take up to 25 people in your school. And then the 2-day workshop. Then we have 4 monthly webinars, and then we conclude with making sure that your teachers have vouchers to take the exam, and then we do a post-consultation to see how the district is faring in terms of adoption of those tools. Okay, and this is just a kind of an overview of the timeline. So it starts off with the strategic planning meeting. You've got your 2-day workshop, and then your monthly webinars, and then go team. So it's not necessary for everybody to take the exam on the same day. They can take the exam at any time during month 1 through 6. We offer an assessment tool so that we can get a good sense of which teachers might be ready even after that 2-day workshop. So everybody learns at their own pace, right? And everyone's going to come in to those 2 days with different skill sets. So we want to make sure that we're able to group people, and we're able to pair people up so that they get the most out of those 2 days. But by month 6, for those people who kind of waited, we want to make sure that we kind of celebrate this, big day where they take their exam. So this is a 6-month kind of prep where we work closely with the district, and we ensure that your teachers are going to be ready to take that exam and pass.
Awesome, thank you, Blanca. And there is an interest form here if you'd like more information from Blanca, or to talk to me and the rest of the team at Google. We're certainly happy to do that. So please feel free to jump onto the form linked here, provide your contact info, and we'll certainly set up a hangout or a call to discuss further. As we kind of wrap up here, just a couple of notes from my end, on what makes I think LogicWing unique. I think one is one of the things that they have that I think a lot of professional learning partners don't have, is they also have a team of experts in the technical realm. So we get questions all the time at different events. Where do we go for help on an email migration? Where do we go for help on moving files from our traditional on-prem file server over to Google Drive? So not crazy complex technical things, but projects that it's nice to have someone who has some expertise and has done it before. Blanca and Anthony and the rest of the team there are helping districts all over the Northeast with those projects on a regular basis today. So not only are they a fantastic partner to help with your professional learning and professional development, but also a tremendous kind of advisor and consultant, and partner in executing some of those more technical projects that we know really are critical. If teachers and students are going to be successful there, they have to have the backbone and the infrastructure in place to rely on the technology day in and day out. So they do have that knowledge and expertise as well, and highly encourage you to engage their team if you have any questions on that side of the house. I would also say the one piece of feedback that we hear all the time from districts who work with LogicWing is just they go above and beyond. It's really a partnership, whatever is necessary to do right by your teachers and your students, they will do. For us as somebody who is talking to districts and is asking for recommendations, there's nothing that makes you happier than when you're back from that district on how fabulous of an experience they had with LogicWing. So we never ever hesitate to recommend them, and always hear just how committed they are to teachers and to students and to school districts throughout the country. So certainly wanted to highlight those couple of things before we go our separate ways this morning.
Thanks, Peter. That was really sweet of you.
Well, yeah, every once in a while, a broken clock's right twice a day, right?
Well, I would say that is one of our strengths, is that that we have trainers who also have their Google Apps administrator certification, and that makes a difference too, because very often you'll come into a school district and teachers don't realize that they can or they can't do something. And so we're able to kind of work with the IT team to make sure that the goals are kind of aligned, right? The instructional goals and the technical goals. And I think that we just have a way that kind of makes people feel comfortable. I know that lots of people say that we're very approachable. And I think that just comes from having worked so long in education. I mean, we're almost 20 years in education. So it's been an exciting ride to see how, where technology was 20 years ago in terms of really impacting instruction and where we are today. So it's really a great joy for us to be working with schools and making a difference.
Love it. Love it. Also, I kind of unintentionally did a nice plug for Chromebooks this morning. I thought that I would get the bigger screen and grab the Mac from my desk this morning for this, and you saw nice little update disrupting the Hangout. So lesson learned on my end. Stick with the Chromebook, and like I said, completely unintentional, but a really good reminder on why we love the fact that Chromebooks update in the background and don't disrupt our Hangout with a pre-scheduled update that throws you for a loop. So Blanca, anything I missed before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I think that, it's the data that you show is compelling. I'd love to see more data over time, because I think that that's really going to help districts make the decision about whether or not the certification prep is something that they should invest in. I'd say that it is budget season right now. And so if you're getting ready to put together your budgets, you may want to take a look at including that package for next year. Summertime's always a great time to also run those 2-day boot camps, and and we're flexible, right? So we know that every school is different. We work with small schools, private schools, parochial schools, you name it, and so. If you want a more customized solution, or you want to talk about the package a little bit, we're certainly happy to do so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and sharing all of the great info. This will be archived, of course. So feel free to share with colleagues out there. And most importantly, our contact info is throughout the presentation. And please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Blanca. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.